What's going down, sourdough squad? We already see the bread gang in the chat. These are one of those rare episodes where I'm going to put the John Lynch hat on and we're going to talk about, do the 49ers need to make a splash move? Because let's face it, this is a championship caliber roster and this team has championship caliber aspirations. So is there an opportunity for the 49ers to add a stud? There could be. I think there is. And we're going to talk about some potential options and all that good stuff. We're going to get into it right now. You already know the vibes. Drop an SDS in the chat and let's get this thing rocking. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see it. Let's go, sourdough squad. Great to see you today. Shout out, Jesus. We're to 44K on YouTube. Oh boy, we're climbing on up, and all thanks to all the sourdough squad out there. We thank you guys, your continued support and engagement in the channel. It is not taken for granted, and we appreciate you because this channel is just as much about you as it is about the 49ers and this ginger beard as well. So thank you all for your contributions and all that good stuff. Shout out to all the bread gang. We see you in the building. Shout out to all the homies, OGs in the chat. You love to see it. Other 49ers content creators in the chat, you love to see it. We got people checking in all over the place. So this is what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the potential of making some additional moves. We know the 49ers are dealing with injuries, whether it's the defensive tackle position, cornerback position. There are some injuries on the horizon. So we got to figure it out. We're going to put our GM caps on. We're going to pretend like we're John Lynch. You know, I don't know if you guys remember, John Lynch called me specifically Nostradamus. So I'm going to do Nostradamus part 2. And we're going to see if we can predict a potential trade that could happen. We're going to talk about who we like, positions of need, some potential targets, and we're going to get into it all. But again, shout out the whole squad. Oh, my day 2 boy in the chat. You love to see it. Shout out all the SDS, all the bread gang. We got people checking in from all over the world. You love to see it. Shout out to my boys over at 95.7, Bonte Hill, and the Butcher Boy, Joe Shasky, for having me on 95.7 The Game this morning to talk some 49ers football. That was a blast. Shout out to those boys. Shout out to everyone at 95.7. Hey, I appreciate you guys, man. Appreciate everyone checking in, showing your boys some love over there on the 49ers. You know, that's the station right there, baby, in the Bay Area. We got people checking in from Sweden checking in. Let's go. We got 315 checking in. We got OKC checking in. It feels like a electric day to talk about some 49ers. Let's get into, before we start to open up and get into our main topic, our main point of emphasis today, before we get into it, let's talk about some of the injury news that came out today. This is from Jennifer Lee Chan. So this is the practice report. Let's see. Let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 starters. Six 49er starters did not practice today. Maybe a trade could be something that would benefit the San Francisco 49ers. If you don't have 6 guys out there that you need. Oh, we got Puerto Rico checking in. Let's go. We got squad everywhere. Hey, let's go. 95.7 The Game. Gang. You love to see it. Oh yeah, dude. Bonte and Shasky always show mad love, so I'm always gonna show mad love back. I've been listening to those guys for years, so phenomenal to be able to call those guys buddies of mine. It's really cool, man. But look at the whole squad checking in. Let's go, baby. So as we know, the San Francisco 49ers practice report from the Greenbrier did not participate today. Eric Armstead with a foot ankle. Nick Bosa, second day in a row. Nick Bosa did not practice with the groin. Defensive tackle Javon Kinlaw with the knee did not participate today. Of course, we do know that Emmanuel Mosley did not participate, and that will be the case for the remainder of the year. And Trent Williams did not participate today. Limited participants today: Aaron Banks, Samson Ebukam. They popped up on the injury reports after the game from the Panthers. Kyle Shanahan talked about it was turf related potentially, so we'll continue to monitor that. Limited participant Tyler Kroft, Tarvarius Moore, hamstring, limited participant. But some good news, I guess you could say, on the injury front. Ty Davis Price. You guys remember Ty Davis Price? Hey, Ty Davis. Oh, we got people everywhere checking in. I'm trying to multitask. Make sure we get the whole squad in here. Oh, that's a good call. That's a good call. I got to shout out the SDS next time. Next time we get on the radio, I'll make sure we get everyone's. Dude, we got people everywhere. You love to see it. Look at the SDS, man. We're strong, baby. But full participants, Ty Davis Price. And I think this is going to have some additional weight into the conversations that we are going to have because, hey, I went on the radio today. I talked about Christian McCaffrey. We'll kind of flush that out a little bit further to see if that is a potential. But Ty Davis Price back as a full participant in practice today. That's actually big news in my opinion. Kicker Robbie Gould. They signed a free agent kicker to the practice squad earlier this week. Maybe there was an indication Robbie Gould wasn't going to be available. He practices in full with the left knee. Danny Gray, who missed earlier this week with illness, he's back. Diamador Lenore practice in full. Jeff Wilson practice in full. So obviously the injuries that are most significant, 49ers are down 5 defensive starters. 5. Eric Armstead, we know they've been talking about potentially putting him on IR, but it doesn't appear that's going to happen. Javon Kinlaw, we don't know what the status is. The last we've heard about Javon Kinlaw, so there's some knee irritation. There's some fluid building up in the knee. Obviously, that's going to probably be an ongoing situation, which you hate to see. Especially with how strong Javon started this offseason. But that knee is it's giving him fits. So the 49ers down 3 defensive linemen. Nick Bosa, the groin, going to have to monitor that. So maybe we talk about potential defensive line additions, cornerback additions, maybe offensive line additions. So let's kind of transition here into the conversation at hand. So we're up to speed on all the injury reports. This is crazy injury report, man. Crazy injury reports, right? The level of injuredness that the 49ers seemingly run up against is staggering. It's like, what the hell, man? Corey Soto. Shout out Corey Soto for the $10 super chat. Appreciate you, my boy. He says serviceable cornerback to replace Mosley or another verified weapon on offense to set us over the edge. A la Sanders, 2019 pickup, the wide receiver that they brought in and really changed the complexion of the offense. Or maybe pick up future O-line stalwart from a bad team who may be willing to move on. See, that's the thing, though. Like, if you got a good offensive lineman, you don't trade him because the thing is, the league right now has a problem. The NFL league-wide, of course, 49ers as well. They have a lot of inexperience up front on that offensive line. Offensive line isn't a glamour position. They don't get the credit they deserve. They don't get the development time that is required. And guess what? You're going to constantly see offensive line struggle across the league because you need 5 serviceable offensive linemen. So if you got one of them, you got to be in straight blow it up. We're on to the next mode to really like. Do you guys ever really see like top notch starting offensive linemen get traded? It really doesn't happen, and there's a reason for that because if you got a good offensive lineman, you hold on to him. So I love the thought process. I think you could definitely play with the idea of looking for a potential offensive lineman. But like I said, if you're another team and you got a good offensive lineman, I don't think you could trade them. But they could look at a potential new cornerback to bring in, especially if you could get him on a deal. I did see there was a name that's floating around. Uh, William Jackson. Sounds like he threw his hat into the mix of getting traded. So maybe that's a potential to do so. So I want to start with CMC. Let's go. We're going to kind of work through a couple names. Let me know in the chat. Would you want the San Francisco 49ers? It's a dual question. Would you want them? And not only would you want them, do you think the 49ers could actually pull it off? Let's start with Christian McCaffrey because I talked about this earlier today on 95.7 The Game, and I want to flush it out a little bit more because the question that was posed to me, would you rather have OBJ or would you rather have Christian McCaffrey? For me, it's a resounding Christian McCaffrey. If you give me that option of OBJ, McCaffrey, OBJ isn't even an option. I don't even see OBJ. I'm like, oh, if it's pick one, I'm picking Christian McCaffrey. Watching him on tape against the 49ers, he's still an elite running back, and he's just so good. And so you think about it, right? If you could get Christian McCaffrey paired up with Kyle Shanahan, well, magic would occur, right? Christian McCaffrey literally is a wide back. You don't need to play Debo as a wide back. You could play Debo as a natural receiver, a slot receiver, outside receiver. You could have both Christian McCaffrey and Debo Samuel in the backfield. You could do all different kinds of things, right? When you're thinking of the player. But it's more complicated than just that. From just a player standpoint, yes, I would love to have Christian McCaffrey, but does it work financially from a compensation standpoint? What's it going to take to trade for Christian McCaffrey? How much would you have to give up? Not only how much would you have to get up, let's look at Christian McCaffrey's cap hit in 2023, 2024, and 2025. In 2023, Christian McCaffrey will have a $19.5 million cap hit. In 2024, Christian McCaffrey will have a $19.5 million cap hit. At the age of 29 in 2025, Christian McCaffrey will have a $15.4 million cap hit. I love Christian McCaffrey. I think Christian McCaffrey could be a stud, but I cannot take that contract. When I'm looking down the barrel at Jeff Wilson, I've got Elijah Mitchell, who will be back in a couple weeks. TDP practiced today, right? You get TD practicing today. You see the emergence of Tevin Coleman. Now, we don't know how long that's going to last. With Tevin Coleman, I posted on the channel on a previous video, is that sustainable what Tevin Coleman did against the Panthers, or is that a flash in the pan? I don't know. We're going to see. So I love the idea of Christian McCaffrey in a vacuum, thinking of like how he would be in a scheme with uh Kyle Shanahan. But the cost to me just seems cost prohibitive at that point, because not only are you giving up assets to get Christian, but you're paying a ton of money for a position that, let's face it, what do we talk about when we talk about the 49ers? They just get so much value out of that running back position. It seems to be a constant theme. Like they'll spend the draft capital of the third round pick, but we'll, I don't know. I don't know if Christian McCaffrey fits. Now, if we're talking, I don't know, like if they're like, we'll take Christian McCaffrey for a 6th rounder, I'm definitely contemplating it. Like if the cost to actually acquire Christian McCaffrey is really like not a lot, yeah, I'll think about it. Maybe a restructure can occur. You can, because they do have a potential out built into the deal in about 2023. So maybe because, and we got our residence Panthers fan laughing. My guy, I love Christian McCaffrey, but who's trading for that contract? That's what you're trading for. You're not just trading for the player, you're trading for the contract. And I think that's going to be an issue. The contract is going to be an issue overall, and it's going to bring the value down as a result. So Christian McCaffrey, I love the idea of it. I don't know if it's going to work. I don't know if it's going to work. I don't mind what the 49ers have. I can live with Jeff Wilson. I can live with Elijah Mitchell. TDP could be a guy. We know Jordan Mason. We like Jordan Mason a lot, but we haven't seen him. Who knows? So, all things considered, based on the contract, the cost to actually trade for him, I mean, it would be phenomenal to have him at 26 years old. But I don't know. I don't know if John Lynch pulls that off. I don't know if he does it. Let's talk about a trade that's near and dear to my heart. Shall we? You guys remember true sourdough squadians remember how happy that this ginger was that I got to do an entire episode this offseason of trading for Brian Burns. The Jimmy Garoppolo saga. Who's going to trade for Jimmy Garoppolo? Panthers need a quarterback. I'm like, oh, well, this is my chance. This is my chance to thrive and get Brian Burns on this roster. So right now, I'm going to make the case why I still think there's a chance, not a big chance at all. If we're talking percentage chances, about Brian Burns getting traded to the San Francisco 49ers this year. 8%. 8%, but that's enough. Let's think about this. The 49ers have 3 defensive linemen that are hurt right now. Eric Armstead, Javon Kinlaw, Nick Bosa. Samson Ebukam's been playing decently well. Charles Omenihu's been playing much better. The value that they're getting out of Omenihu has been huge. The scheme versatility that Omenihu provides, being able to play interior and outside, immense. But Kerry Hyder, not really doing it for me. Jordan Willis, not really doing it for me. We saw Kamoko Toure out there against the Panthers, didn't really, move the needle at all. Maybe, just maybe, there's a chance. I don't know how real that chance is, but again, you already know. I mean, John, feel free to call my line. I've been thinking about and marinating a Brian Burns trade for feels like all my life at this point. So give me 5 minutes with the Panthers GM. Just give me 5 minutes. 5 minutes with the Panthers GM. All right. I know you guys know that their GM already talked about pre-draft that they didn't know if they were going to extend Brian Burns. They picked up his 5th-year option. So this is what it looks like if you were to trade for Brian Burns today. If you traded for Brian Burns this year, his cap hit would be $4.3 million. So theoretically, this year, the cap hit that Brian Burns would put on and strain your existing structure would be very tiny. So 4.3, if because we got to look at all levels, right? All levels of it. You got to look at the contract, you got to look at the compensation, and we're going to go one by one. Contractually, you're trading for a guy who's got a $4.3 million cap hit this year. Next year, he's already under team control at 16, I think, $0.5 million cap hit. That's not bad, considering the fact that Nick Bosa's is probably going to be doubled that when he gets his extension. The thing that you also have to think about, the 49ers have 5 defensive ends that are free agents this year. So when you hear that $16 million number, it might seem big now, but considering the fact that 5 defensive ends are going to be up for new contracts next season, you can take some of that money and you can allocate that towards the cap hit that is provided by Brian Burns being traded. So I think you could work around the money. And then you decide at the end of next year if trading Brian Burns or keeping Brian Burns and extending him and or letting him maybe go or franchise. You get the worst case scenario, 49ers are getting a compensatory third in return for Brian Burns. So what is the compensation to go get Brian Burns? It's being reported that a first is going to be required. The 49ers don't have a first next year, but they do have a first in 2024. Bro, I'm like, for Brian Burns, I will take on the embodiment of Les Need, the Rams general manager, straight up F them picks. If we're talking about Brian Burns, a 24-year-old freak athlete, defensive end who you could put on the other side of Nick Bosa and probably have the best pass rushing duo in the NFL that we've seen in the past 20 years. I will embody Les Snead. Straight up F them picks. Like that's what it comes down to, man. Like, yes, 100%. We talking about Brian Burns, I'm getting crazy. I love these conversations because they're so infinitely hypothetical and not really based in a ton of reality. So we can kind of just spitball and just kind of throw things against the wall and just be like, do we think that has any legs to it? Or is this just a straight pipe dream? It could be a little bit of both. But I do think you could find the compensation to get Burns. I think you could figure it out. Will it happen? Like I said, the percentage chances that it does actually occur are minimal. So we'll see. But I love the idea of the 49ers potentially get Brian Burns. And I've seen people like think of the idea like, well, okay, what if he were to get Burns? Drake Jackson is a beast. Drake Jackson plays in the same exact role. Nothing changes for Drake Jackson. The 49ers use multiple defensive ends. If you guys, when we were watching the tape against the Panthers, the amount of defensive ends that are on the field during the game, it feels like it's like 85%. They're running NASCAR packages out there. So the 49ers are constantly running more than 2 defensive ends onto the field. That's why the prospects of just adding more talent on the defensive line and to the edges with speed gets me excited. Gets me excited. Uh, shout out the chat. You guys are good sports, man. I appreciate you guys so much in the chat for dealing with me and the Brian Burns obsession that I have. And this is going to be the one and only time. And I want to make that crystal clear that I got my opportunity to talk about it this off season. Well, it's kind of popped back up, right? It's being talked about a lot. Um, and I think when we look at the San Francisco 49ers right now, they're a good team. They're coached well. They have, if Jimmy Garoppolo, I think I haven't read it yet, but I know I saw it. Jordan Elliott, we were kind of talking about this. I was texting back and forth with Jordan Elliott at Niners Nation. And, he said it, and I agree with him 100%. If Jimmy Garoppolo is going to play like the way he's playing against the Panthers, and he can do that consistently for an entire season, this is a Super Bowl team, baby. So that's where, maybe where you could be a little bit more conservative and play the traditional roles of like, we got who we got, and we're going to make it work, and we're going to go from there. Man, it made me sick. Made me absolutely sick watching the Rams win a Super Bowl. So right now, I'm of the mindset, do whatever it takes. And if that means getting Brian Burns on the opposite side of Nick Bosa, and you can still have the same defensive line rotations with Charles Omenihu and Drake Jackson and guys like that, and you can get Brian Burns into the middle of that, then also think of the confidence that comes. Let's say if Bosa does get hurt for an extended period of time, knock on wood, there's a backup plan. There's a backup, having Brian Burns go from 1B to 1A in case of an injury would be huge. Also, too, I'm seeing Rams fans starting to puff out their chest a little bit, get a little cocky, talking about, oh, Brian Burns is going to be a Rams. I will roll over in my grave if I have to see Brian Burns in division wearing a Rams jersey, Arizona Cardinals jersey, or a Seahawks jersey. I can live with him getting potentially traded to other places, but if he gets traded into this division, I'm going to lose it. I'm going to lose it. So this is our shot. This is our time. This is our time to rise and get the most formidable pass rush that this league has ever seen. Absolutely has ever seen. And to recap, he is still on his rookie contract. It'd be a $4.3 million cap hit this year. Next year, he's under team control, under the fifth-year option. So it could work. I really do think they could make it work. And again, 5 defensive ends are going to be free agents next year. So he not only has a fit this year, but he fits next year for what the 49ers can do. So again, Samson Ebukam is going to be a free agent. What are you going to be paying Samson Ebukam right now? I think Samson Ebukam is making $8 million. If Samson Ebukam is making $8 million this year, and you're talking about Brian Burns making double that, $16 million next year, that feels like a steal. A 25-year-old Brian Burns playing on the opposite side of Nick Bosa in a DeMeco Ryans scheme with Chris Kosarek for $16 million. That feels like a damn steal. Bro, I'm telling you, I've been thinking about this for too long. That's why if I actually get an opportunity to just talk about it, I'm going in. My guy says Brad got a PhD in Brian Burns speculation. Love 100%. I got a doctorate, man. I got a doctorate in Brian Burns speculation. 100%. So the question, I really think that if it were to be a real conversation, what's the compensation? I think they can make it work contractually. I don't think the contract is going to be an issue at all. What you're going to have to determine is what is it going to take to get Brian Burns, and are the 49ers willing to do that? And I think that's where that percentage, I gave it an 8% chance that the 49ers could trade for Brian Burns. That's where I think it lies. They could potentially land on compensation. Maybe it's a second, maybe it's 2 seconds and a player. Maybe they could get creative with it. I think there is a world that exists where it could happen. And again, I love all of you. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for not just like pushing me to the side, because I know I'm crazy, but I think it's a good type of crazy. I think it's a good type of crazy. Brian Burns on the opposite side of Nick Bosa would be nuts. Would absolutely be nuts. Lisa says, off topic, I want that shirt that Jimmy was wearing in the presser, the one he literally wore, but I'll settle for it. Give me the shirt off your back, Jimmy. I want that one right now. She says, where can I get it? I have no idea. That's a good question. You're talking about the just like the standard 49er one? I don't know. I don't know where he got that. But we all know, Lisa, it's really not about the shirt that he's wearing. You want his actual shirt. The one that he practiced in has that Jimmy aroma to it. Would have to trade Armstead and picks for Burns. I don't think that would do it, to be honest with you. Due to Armstead being hurt for the majority of this year, he has a massive contract. I actually don't see Armstead getting traded. I think it would have to be someone else and potentially multiple picks. So we'll see. But again, I just love being able to throw stuff at the wall, see if it sticks. It's a good time. It's a good time. So I'm going to turn it back to you, because the bots know when we're having a good time. The bots can smell it. What are some players? So I discussed the Christian McCaffrey thought process. I really don't think that's when you kind of look at the contract that he has, it's pretty daunting. I don't know if the 49ers want to put that type of like money into that. I don't know if that's where they want to allocate their funds. You can kind of get an idea of where they're willing to spend money. But what players do you think the 49ers could go after and potentially get in a deal that could help the 49ers, whether it's a splash trade, whether it's a smaller trade? I think there's a lot of opportunities. And to be honest, it doesn't have to be Brian Burns. That's just my own personal thing. I would absolutely love it. I could see a world that exists where they could do it and go after it. It's got to be on them at the end of the day. But there are other players out there. Maybe someone fits the bill. Tom Brady coming on over. Well, 49ers missed that boat. The 49ers definitely missed that boat. For sure. Would you trade Kinlaw and a few picks if it meant you could get Derek Brown? I don't think Kinlaw would be floated in a trade at this point, but having Derek Brown would be nice. I think Derek Brown is a really solid nose tackle. I'm not willing to pay a premium for kind of an interior defensive tackle, especially in this scheme. I really think they value versatility on that defensive line. So I'm looking for a guy who can play inside and out if I'm going to be spending. I think Derek Brown is really good, and you're going to need those types of guys. But honestly, I look at Hassan Ridgeway, and I could see for the cost that you're getting from Hassan Ridgeway, Kevin Givens. I feel fine with those guys there on the interior. I'd much rather prefer a guy who has outside versatility and can really rush the passer either from the outside or the inside. How about we wait a year and go after Chase Young? We could, but I like Brian Burns more than Chase Young. But that's my own personal opinion at this point. I do think, he did have the injury concern with the torn ACL. I know fans, he's still recovering from a torn ACL. He's on the PUP right now, so he's not even available to play. The point is, we're trying to find potential pieces that could add to this team right now. Could they add a cornerback? Maybe. Let's take a step back. Do you think the 49ers are going to be aggressive? Do you think they would potentially go out and make a move and add someone to the roster? Again, Jimmy Garoppolo and his restructure, it did open up some cap space for the 49ers. So I think we can all kind of it feels like this is a great opportunity this season for the 49ers to go far. And for me personally, again, not in the front office, none of that, but I would love to see this team get really aggressive and just continue to add pieces. I think the O-line will suffice at this point, so I don't see them trading for O-line. Wide receivers, Debo Ayuk, Jennings, I think those are 3 solid wide receivers. So I don't think they need to go after wide receiver. Tight end, you got Kittle. They like Croft. They like Warner. They like Dwelly. I don't think they're if you're the second tight end on this team, you're not getting receptions. You're a blocker. So I don't think they need to go after a tight end like a Dawson Knox or anything like that. I don't think tight end's the spot. Could you convince me of running back? Maybe, but I'm okay with the running back. So in reality, if I'm looking for a trade, I think from this team, I'm looking to continue to add to that defense. I think this defense is already the best defense in the NFL. And if you can keep adding pieces to it, I think, and with some of the injuries that are starting to stockpile, you can continue to supplement and just inject talent into this defense so that when you get into January, you're ready to go as much as possible and you put your best foot forward heading into the playoffs and trying to be aggressive. So that's kind of how I feel. We'll see. We'll see if the 49ers do anything. I don't know if they do. I really don't know if they do, but that's how I would love to see it. I really would. Because this feels like an opportunity that we have in front of us. Feels like an opportunity. I don't think Trent Brown is an option because if you guys remember, the 49ers traded Trent Brown. And I think for a big fact that he's not a run first offensive tackle. He's a very good pass blocker. He's definitely not run first offensive tackle. And the 49ers already had him in the building and they kicked him to the curb. So I don't think that's going to be the guy. Donkey Green says another. Is that a Draymond? I hope that's not a Draymond name. Another cornerback one, really sure up the secondary. Man, wish E-Man was still there, man. That's tough. That's tough with E-Man. Still kind of working through that. Still kind of working through the Emmanuel Mosley injury because he was such a valuable piece, man. Still a valuable piece. I never left 95.7. What are you talking about? I never left. Hey, they got my juices flowing though. I'm not gonna lie. They got my juices flowing. Oh, that Draymond thing, yeah. I got to talk about Draymond today on the radio. That was fun. Yeah, we did get some news. Robbie Gould was a full participant today, so that's a good sign for his availability against the Falcons. Um, so we do like to see that. We do like to see that moving forward. But yeah, man, this feels like the season. Feels like the year. I don't want it to go to waste. I really don't want it to go to waste. Also, Andy, I'll give you a warning. I've seen multiple Mod Squad members in the chat. Mention your name. We're not big on, kicking people out. We are an inclusive group. We want everyone to feel like their voice can be heard. But if my Mod Squad starts chirping, man, I'm gonna side with my Mod Squad 100% of the time. All those guys got blue wrenches for a reason. So if my blue wrenches start popping, I'm going to have to start popping too. So I just want to let you know, appreciate you. Appreciate your support. But the Mod Squad, I listen to them. I listen to the Mod Squad. Mod Squad starts talking. The street starts talking. I start listening. So just saying. Just saying, Andy. Just letting you know. Respect the Mod Squad. Josh says you be sleeping with the fishes. The gabagool. You're good, Andy. You're good. But hey, my Mod Squad, they're modded up for a reason. They don't chirp for no reason. So they start chirping. I'm like, oh, okay. How do you get in the Mod Squad? The Mod Squad is a prestigious group that we have built over the years, and it's the dedication to the shows. It's the vibes that like the Mod Squad are like some of the vibiest dudes in here. So that's what I'm saying. When some of the vibiest dudes in here are like, this dude ain't the vibe, then that's why we're like, oh, we jump into action. So shout out to Mod Squad always. They're modded up for a reason. So they put in the time, they put in the work, they deserve all the credit in the world. It's the best Mod Squad out there right now. Cannot convince me otherwise. Like Sydney Fresh says, what I walk into, we got beef. Now we're good. We're set. We're laying out the ground rule for some of the new guys out here. We're laying out some of the ground rules. Also, got to put some respect on the Mod Squad while we're out here. So shout out the Mod Squad as always. I'm gonna leave it up to you guys though. If you guys do have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. Brad, when's the Pokeniners merch coming out? Hey man, I'm sitting on some stuff right now. I know you guys have been asking me for hella freaking long for some merch. I'm not gonna lie, I'm sitting on some stuff. I'm sitting on some good stuff. I'm just waiting for the right time. I'm just waiting for the right time to drop. I promise you, I'm sitting on some fire right now. I'm sitting on some fire. So, hey, when you least expect it, boom, we'll drop it. But yeah, man. Remind me who's on tonight. It's Thursday Night Football. Isn't it like the Bears? Who else? Who else is going to be on the television tonight to make us want to pull our eyeballs out? Oh, Bears Washington. Did you guys see what Daniel Snyder said? You talk about, someone said, What did someone say? Uh, Lennon said, "Brad sounds like a real gangster. I'm scared." Did you guys see what? Do you guys see what the owner of the Washington Commanders said? He said, "Y'all really want to find out?" Oh man, hey, again, we Jimmy was about to get traded to Washington. Jimmy was about to get traded to Washington. That man said, "Cut open my arm right now." He said he his agent called him. He said the 49ers are trading you to Washington. He said, "Take me to the surgeon right now and cut me open." And honestly, thank you, Jimmy. At first, it's been a whirlwind. It's been a freaking whirlwind, right? Getting to this point. But thank you, Jimmy. Like at first I held it against you, but I understand. I get it. It makes sense. And now we're like, thank goodness Jimmy is here right now. Thank goodness. Like, no disrespect to Brock Purdy. Or Nate Sudfeld. But I don't know if either one of those guys are cooking like they were against the Panthers. So shout out Jimmy for getting the call from his agent and saying, "You know what? Put me under. Put me under. I'm not going to Washington." Because he'd go with Ron Rivera, and then Ron Rivera would throw him under the bus. Oh, it's crazy, dude. This has been a crazy year. So let's make it even crazier and trade for Brian Burns. That's it. That's the answer, right? It's been wild. It's been unpredictable. Let's add to the unpredictability of it. Trade for Brian Burns. Something that we don't think is going to happen. Something that is such a long shot. Like it's really even unfathomable to think that it could occur. But that just feels like this year. So let's keep it rolling. Let's keep those vibes going. Like, oh, Jimmy's not going to return this year. Well, guess what he did? Well, the 49ers aren't going to get Brian Burns. Well, I've seen crazier things happen. So, it's been a fun episode, man. I like when we can just have some fun. This is a good episode. I like it. Hopefully you guys are enjoying me just being ridiculous. But these are, I think, some of the more fun episodes. When we don't have to be too serious. We just have some fun. Talk 49ers football. Have a good laugh here or there. Yesterday, Brad was obsessed with Jimmy. Today, we have Burns. 100%. Absolutely. I'm just happy, man. 49ers on a 2-game winning streak puts me in a good mood. 49ers have the Falcons next week. You already know we're going to do Prediction Friday tomorrow. So we'll do all our predictions like we've been doing. So that will be our opportunities to call out our players of the game, score predictions, all those types of things tomorrow. So Prediction Friday coming up. It's always a fun episode because we're super interactive there. But this week, today, I should say, just having fun, man. I think the 49ers, we talk about the Falcons. I think it should be a win. Like, it just should be a win. Falcons play the 49ers well. I don't know what it is. They've always played the 49ers well. They lost to them in 2019. Shouldn't have lost to them. It's a close game last year. Could be more of the same, but they should win. If the 49ers could take this momentum from the Panthers game and they play that same type of brand of football, they should win. And it should not be much of a conversation at this point. Man, the bots are acting up, man. Oh, I like this one from Alberto. Yeah, I have 247 people in here, but only 64 likes. Should be able to get to 100. should be able to get to 100 in a hot second. Hey, Brad. Someone in the chat mentioned what you think about trading Payne from Washington. That's not bad. It's not bad because you could inject him on the interior. I don't know what the cost would be. Let me pull up his contract right now. So you'd be buying a rental because he's a unrestricted free agent next year. So that might actually drop the cost to get him. So Duron Payne is 25 years old. He's had 5 years in the league. Former first round pick, number 13 overall out of Alabama. His cap hit this year would be 8.5. 8.5, and he's an unrestricted free agent, which means he's free to sign anywhere. So if you are buying him as a 1-year rental and no plans to re-sign him next year, you probably could get him for a decent price. You probably could. So that's not bad. It's not bad. I like those types. I like those kinds of trades. Those are probably the more likely outcomes. The Charles Omenihu trade, like last year. That's probably like if the 49ers are going to make any moves, it's probably going to be like a Charles Omenihu trade, which is turning out to be a phenomenal trade. Like I wouldn't be surprised if Omenihu gets an extension with this team. Omenihu's been playing really good ball, and he is literally like he could have 8 sacks on this year. I swear to you. He could have 8 sacks by like 0.2 seconds. If these rushes that he was winning on and the quarterbacks were holding the ball for like 0.2 seconds more, not even a full, just 0.2, he would have like 8 sacks on the year. He is constantly around the quarterback. So you know what? That's actually not a bad idea, because I think that's probably the realm in which Kyle, John would consider a trade. I don't know if they're going to go after the big name, the high price target, the big moves. We already know that they've given up a lot of draft capital. And I don't know if they want to compound that further. But again, if Jimmy Garoppolo walks next year, they are going to get a compensatory third in return. So maybe if you do give up a 2 or maybe a 2024 one, let me ask the chat. Let me just ask this to you guys, because you guys are smart people. We got the smartest YouTube community in 49ers land. Would you guys trade a 2024 first round pick for Brian Burns? And if you say no, it won't hurt my feelings. It will not hurt my feelings. But a 2024 first round pick, you'd have to believe that the 49ers are going to be competitive next year. So the hope is that 2024 is closer to a high second, because the hope is Trey Lance comes back. 49ers are back into playoff consideration. You have Brian Burns. You are able to extend Nick Bosa. So let's see. Bro, easy. Boomer says, don't give up another first round pick. And I understand that, because that would suck from a content perspective. Not having first round picks to talk about for like 3-4 years in a row, that would be tough. Ramon says yes. Lennon says absolutely. Dominic says hell no. Hell yeah. So we look split. Nah, yes. Harris says no, I don't think so, to be honest. No. Hell nah. No brainer. Yes. And that's the problem. No first for a long time. Uh Owen says no. And honestly, I'm with Ramon, man. Like I used to be really big on coveting draft picks and draft capital. To be honest, I don't care as much anymore because I want to win now. And I think that's it. Like you just got to kind of you got to play that game of like, do we push our chips into the middle and say we're all in on this season? And again, Jimmy Garoppolo will be a free agent. He likely signs elsewhere. All that cap is freed. So you can still pay the guys that you want to pay. You get a comp third, so you're not down picks. You still get picks. Um, and I just think of AJ Jenkins. Like, would you trade potentially AJ Jenkins for Brian Burns? That's how I gotta visualize it. Because yes, there are, you know, the hits that you have. Patrick Willis, first round pick, Joe Staley, first round pick. Um, but you got your Eric Reeds. Eric Reed was a first round pick. He didn't really like he was a good, solid player. But he didn't really he didn't get the second contract. So if I have an opportunity to win this year, I think I'm all in. But you know me, I'm irrational when it comes to Brian Burns scenarios, and you know, I would do a lot. I would do a lot to get Brian Burns on the squad. Corey says this year has the sense of a last hurrah, unfinished business vibes. 100%. This is it. I mean, I would think. I'm not going to say anything definitive anymore about the quarterback position. The 49ers have proven me wrong time and time again. So I'm going to take them for their word. If they say, "Hey, maybe Jimmy returns," well, whatever. That's maybe a conversation for a different show. But it does feel like last hurrah vibes. You still got a big, big core from that 2019 team, from the last year's team. You still got a lot of those guys around, and who knows? But it does feel like that. D'Amico's gonna be gone. Oh, I don't want to think about that, man. D'Amico's so good. D'Amico's cooking right now. Jimmy likely gone. Some key vets, contracts ending. I would love to go all in, man. And it feels like Bosa and a combination of Bosa and Brian Burns would keep you competitive for a long time. They're about the same age. They're still young. They're both heading into their primes. Um, so, but you know me, I'd sell it all for BP. That's what I'm saying. Like, and yeah, I'm saying straight up, just like go all in, push them chips into the middle. But I understand if you do have hesitation. 2024 first round, or not only just hesitation, if you're just like, no, I don't want to do that. Yeah, I'll say it straight up. Would you trade that first for a ring? Hell yeah. I'm right there with you. And that's the thought process, right? That's our hypothetical situation. We're trying to get the ring, trying to get the sixth. We are, and by at all costs necessary. I saw the Rams move heaven and earth to get key pieces and ultimately help them win a Super Bowl. It's the 49ers' turn. And I don't think a lot of fans would be too upset to see John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan just swing for the fences and be like, we are identifying this season as the year. We have the number one rated defense in the NFL through 5 weeks. We have a quarterback who is coming into his own on an offense that's coming into its own. There are some injuries. Push those chips into the middle. That's how I feel. That's how I feel. You don't have to agree with me. I'm not going to be offended if you say no way, no more firsts. We're done. We're done trading away firsts. But the 49ers traded three first round picks for Trey, and Trey's not even contributing. So that's kind of like, I don't know. I would do it. I would definitely do it. First for Burns, absolutely. As long as we got 5th round picks. No, following a 5th round pick. Emmanuel Mosley, undrafted. Mooney Ward, undrafted. Fred Warner, 3rd round pick. Dre Greenlaw, 5th round pick. Kevin Givens, undrafted. Is it Charles Omenihu like a 4th round pick? Diamador Lenore, 5th round pick. So they can supplement in later rounds. They can. I'd rather write it out and try to get Kinlaw and a first for Buckner. Oh, Buckner's not coming back. I heard whispers that Buckner initiated the trade. I again, don't take me for my word on that at all. It's just something that I heard. Oh, you do not tempt me to go down this rabbit hole. Do not tempt me, because that's a scary proposition. I could absolutely pull up Brian just from this past week. But I don't think we should. But I think you guys get where I'm at least coming from. It doesn't have to be Brian Burns. It could be anyone. I'm ready. I love the idea of DJ Moore, but I think the 49ers are good at wide receiver. I want to win now. Okay, Alec, I saw that. Where is it? I saw your earlier question. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Damn, where'd the original question go? All right. Oh, I like this. This is a phenomenal YouTube name, by the way. Brian Burns to SF. Man, anytime you get me on that hype train, we ready. Love that name. Where is that freaking question? All right, I can't find the original question. I don't know what happened. But I will comment on Kinlaw's future. As you guys know, I'm a big fan of Kinlaw. Of course, had him on the channel. It was a phenomenal interview. Really was great and gracious with his time. So I got a lot of respect for Kinlaw. It is just absolutely brutal what he's dealing with his knee. With the San Francisco 49ers, he's a first round pick. I don't think the 49ers are ready to make any type of decision on like the future of Javon Kinlaw, because he's under contract this year and he's under contract next year. If I were to guess, I don't know if the 49ers are going to actively pick up his 5th-year option at this point. We'll see. Of course, if he comes back and is able to show that the knee isn't going to keep kind of flaring up on him because I really think that's it. That's really his number one concern, and that's so unfortunate for a player because it's not under his control. He can't control that. He can't control if his knee is acting up or not, or it's re-aggravated, or there's fluid buildup. You just can't control that. So I don't hold that against Javon Kinlaw. I know a lot of fans get upset at players for being injured. I I can't say that I'm one of those types of people. I don't get mad at a guy because he's been injured. I just look at it from the sense of it's a tough break. Like it's a tough go. I imagine Javon he's trying to work through the mental side of things as well as the physical side of things. So what his future looks like, I imagine he's going to be on this team next year. After that, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what it entails. I don't know if the 49ers will pick up the 5th-year option. I don't know. The but the only thing that we can really try to hope for right now is that he gets healthy. And when he can get healthy and sustain the health, then we'll talk about like what the future holds. But right now, it's just really hard to project out because he's not healthy, and the knee continues to kind of pop up and be an issue. So I feel terrible for him, man. I really do. Like I'm never gonna pile on a guy for being injured. I know from a fan perspective, it's not looked at like that. It's looked at we paid a first round pick for this guy. That first round pick was DeForest Buckner. So a lot of fans correlate Kinlaw with Buckner. Buckner is one of the, a fan favorite. And so fans just have a really hard time like with the fact that Kinlaw's not available. And I understand that. Um, but I also look at the other levels and layers to it, and I feel bad for the guy because I don't think it's because he's not putting in the work and he's not doing what he needs to do. So we'll see. He's got to get healthy, and once he gets healthy, then we can have a real conversation about what the future holds. But right now, just gotta get that knee to chill a little bit. Just got to get the knee to calm down, and hopefully we can get him back on the field. And if that means getting him right, because if Kinlaw becomes a factor in the playoffs, like that's all we need. If Kinlaw can be a factor down the stretch, that's all we need. But I would love to have him back for sure. Uh, Muweed says trade for Christian McCaffrey and JC Horn. I talked about the Christian McCaffrey thing already. Again, phenomenal athlete, would be insane in the scheme. But I don't know. I don't know if it might be cost prohibitive at a certain point to be able to give up draft capital or whatever the draft capital may be and to take on his contract. He's got a wild contract. When he got paid, he definitely got paid as the best running back in the NFL, which he was. But he's been dealing with injuries, and I think he's like 26. I love Christian McCaffrey. He would be amazing to have. Um, but yeah, we'll see. JC Horn. So I had mixed reviews of JC Horn. I think I let some other issues kind of pop into my brain on JC Horn than I wanted to admit. I think there were some outside factors that made me not like JC Horn. And I have to be honest, like I I was kind of looking for the deficiencies in JC Horn's game and ignoring the positive things that he brought to the table. And again, it's a learning experience for me as someone who likes to scout. I can't do that. I got to be objective. And there was a part of me that wasn't being objective when I was scouting JC Horn. And I got to take ownership of that because JC Horn is pretty good. All the things that he showed at South Carolina, he's proven to translate into the NFL. Again, he got hurt his rookie year, so he's still kind of like from an on-field standpoint, kind of working through that rookie, but so far he's playing pretty damn well. If I'm the Panthers, I'm not trading JC Horn. To be honest, like the only reason why I think that the 49ers could potentially get their hands on Brian Burns is because their general manager, Scott Fritter, like went out of his way to say, we don't know if we're going to extend Brian Burns and we might draft his replacement. So like he's on their general manager is on record saying they don't know if they're going to pay Brian Burns. And that was before this draft last year. And I've talked to his brother about it. Because like I've said, I've developed a relationship with Brian, with his brother from the draft process. Like, it's a homie right there. And I don't know that JC would become available. I don't think they would. He's on his rookie contract. You got him at such a good price. The Panthers already see the extension down the road with Brian Burns because they picked up his 5th year and he is going to be eligible for a big time contract extension. So I'll pull up the quote that I'm talking about just so I'm not talking completely out of my behind. So this is the quote from the Panthers GM earlier this year. Again, this is what really sparked me on this. Like, oh, Brian Burns, maybe. Because if you go to the last sentence, this is from the Panthers GM as he's talking about the draft and what's going into it, and he's talking about Brian Burns, and you can see they picked up his option, but he also says, quote, I mean, we'll do the option, but if that money gets out of hand, it's better to have somebody ready to go in the hopper, talking about drafting Brian Burns' replacement. So he's already, this was before the draft, talking about like publicly about like Brian Burns extension, maybe not. So I feel like Brian Burns is a little bit more realistic. Also, listening to Brian Burns talk about Matt Rule, it sounds like Brian Burns had Matt Rule's back. So does that pose an issue for the GM that's sitting in who fired Matt Rule? When your star player had the coach's back, maybe over yours. And these comments have been out there, and I asked his brother about these comments, and he was like, have the 49ers call? But so, oh yeah, we're back, baby. But I promise you, after today, I just needed to get off my chest. I needed to get it out there because I just had to. So after today, I'm not going to be talking a whole lot about Brian Burns because you guys already know how I feel. You guys already know I would move heaven and earth to get Brian Burns on this roster this year. And I won't be talking about it after this because you guys know. I just did a whole episode. We're at hour 15 in, and I'm still on the BB hype. Muid says, what would be given up for Burns and sign OBJ? So I've talked about it. I would honestly try to do 2 seconds. 2 seconds if I could get away with just picks. Because like I said, I think the fact that Brian Burns is up for a contract soon, and just like the comments that we talked about their GM, and maybe there's a disconnect there. I think he could be traded, and I just want to make sure that he doesn't get traded anywhere else. But if he's going to get traded, trade him to Brian Burns. or trade him to the 49ers. So I see a world where you could get Burns for picks. And if it's not just picks and you had to put a player in there, I'm sure you could get creative with a player and fit a player to kick back and a pick. So that's the thing. I don't know if that actually would occur. I don't know. But I would potentially be willing to trade a 2024 first for Burns. Because again, I'm of the mindset I'm all in. I want to win. I love draft season. Having no first would again suck for draft season. Would suck for content, but I want to win. A Super Bowl would be much better for content. A Super Bowl would be much better for the soul. And if you can win a Super Bowl with Burns, that would be fire. Sign OBJ. I don't think 49ers are interested in OBJ. I'll be perfectly honest. I think there was a time when they were. I really do think the 49ers were trying to trade for OBJ. I really do think. I think it was what year was that? Was that 2019 that he got traded to the Browns? I really do think the 49ers are trying to trade for OBJ. And I really do think Dave Gettleman sent him to the Browns to have his career disappear. So I believe the 49ers already tried to trade for OBJ. And I think they're just, I don't know if they sign him. I don't see a big deal because you just pay Debo what you pay Debo. You have Ayuk, you have Jennings, you draft Danny Gray. OBJ is not going to get a lot of targets. So I don't know if you want that at this stage, because it sounds like OBJ is still trying to get paid, and not only is he trying to get paid, he wants to get the ball. Like we're having questions asked to Jimmy Garoppolo today about, like, is there any concerns about Brandon Ayuk's lack of targets? So you add OBJ into the mix. Well, now those targets that were already kind of limited, then they become even more limited. So I'm not really high on the OBJ thing. I was at one point, 100%. I wanted OBJ. I think that was 2019. I was pushing that hard. It was 2019 because my draft. This is funny that we're talking about both of those players. That's actually hilarious that we're talking about both of these players, because I spent an entire draft season just fabricating concepts of the 49ers trading back in the draft. And this was before the Arizona Cardinals were like surefire thing to pick Kyler Murray in the second or in the first overall. So like I thought Bosa was going to go number 1. So with the 49ers sitting at 2, I was like, all right, we'll trade back. And in that trade back, you get OBJ in return, and then you draft Brian Burns. I spent an entire offseason developing content about that category, so I think it's hilarious that we're talking about it today. I'm going to see if I could find a potential scenario where I think I might be able to find an old trade scenario with OBJ and Brian Burns involved. Because I'm telling you, man, I've been thinking about this Brian Burns thing for a long time. It's so much fun. I'm really happy that the brand is synonymous with Brian Burns. I was crazy with BB, and you can see I was still crazy with BB. That was my guy. Still my guy. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to find it. If I do, It's going to be worth it. I don't think I can find it. But yeah, that 2019 draft, Deebo Samuel was my guy. Brian Burns, those were my two guys. Like, I really like Deebo and I really like Brian Burns. Like, those were my two big time draft crushes. I found it. I found it. All right. Like I'm telling you, man, this goes back years. If you don't believe me, this goes back years. So you could see on the screen, this is 188 weeks ago. Today, I'm being asked the question, what would I give up for Burns and to sign OBJ? 188 weeks ago, I was sitting and crafting dream scenarios that would get me OBJ in a trade and then drafting Brian Burns. I got problems, as you can see. But this ain't nothing new. This isn't a bit. Like, this is real life. This is my reality. And I appreciate you guys sticking with me on it. Let's see. Corey says, I'm afraid of Ayuk moving on and becoming a star. I'm kind of afraid of that too. It's going to be interesting to see like how that works. With Ayuk, I would imagine they pick up his 5th-year option, but we'll see. I imagine that's what they do. The hope is that you keep Deebo and Ayuk together for a long time, and then when Trey Lance gets back, and they just start cooking. That's the hope. But yeah, I am afraid of that. Like, if for whatever reason Ayuk does move on, he's probably going to ball out wherever he goes. So that I agree with that. Can we get depth on the O line? I think the 49ers, like I said this before, I think it's really hard to trade for big time offensive linemen because it's so hard to find these big time offensive linemen. The only way you can get one is if a team like knows that they're not going to be paying for this big time offensive lineman. Other than that, like, I think it's really difficult to get your hands on quality offensive linemen in trades. Like, I just can it happen potentially, but I feel like it'd be difficult. So this was a fun episode. I appreciate everyone being lighthearted. Again, not getting too serious about it. We're having fun today. Whenever we're talking hypothetical, we're having fun. Anything can go. And that goes for you guys as well in the chat. We're not going to get mad at like someone offering up, what about this trade scenario? What about this? What about that? Because I've seen it before. You see me. I'm a big fan of the hypothetical trade scenarios, whether they are realistic or unrealistic. I would love to talk about them. I love playing general manager. It's one of the reasons why I do what I do. I love to like think and conceptualize of roster construction and how you can move and trade and wheel and deal and build. That's one of my favorite parts of football. So I do appreciate you guys not getting too upset at me for going on for basically an hour and a half about Brian Burns. So I appreciate you guys. Harris says we need some fun with these hypotheticals sometimes, and that's kind of what I was thinking. To be perfectly honest, we get into the facts, we get into the nitty gritty, we get into the film breakdowns, we get into the real stuff. Sometimes it's fun to let I should have let the hair down too. Fun to let the hair down and just talk about just whatever. And that's what today was. So appreciate you guys for letting me speak my piece. But I think we're coming to a good spot where we can shut down the live today. This is a good live. I'm not gonna lie. The chat was on point today. Mod Squad was on point today. The vibes were on point today. The engagement was on point today. Shout out to SDS, man. You guys were great, and I wanted to let you know that. You're great every day, but today was nice. I appreciate you guys. So appreciate the chat. The chat made this really enjoyable. Much better than people yelling at me like, we're not getting burns. We're not getting burns. You're probably right. You're probably right. We're probably not getting burns. But thank you for at least having a good time with me. Have a good night, bro. Subscribe today. Let's go. New subscribers. Shout out to SDS. Glad all the gang in here having a good time. Appreciate you guys. Debo that like button on your way out. Did we ever get to 100 likes? I don't know. Maybe. Appreciate you, Charlene. Shout out to all the homies out there. Thank you, Forever Faithful. Thank you, Steven. Compressed Thursday. There you go. Chill a little bit. Oh, yeah. Welcome the boy to the SDS. Welcome all. We got to 136? We got to 136? Oh, we should be able to get to 150 in a blink of an eye. Oh, and we got a new guy. What does SDS mean? SDS means so much. The words and that it stands for Sourdough Squad. But Sourdough Squad doesn't even do it justice of what SDS stands for. SDS is a vibe. SDS is a community. SDS is so much more. So if you watch today's stream, you got to see a little bit of what that means. The SDS is a movement. We're a community. We love 49ers football. We love to keep the vibes up. We're not a place where we're going to crap on people or be ultra negative. It's just not our vibe. And we're going to have a good time talking about the 49ers. Jason says, we're a cult. Effectively, yes, we are a cult. So you might see SDS everywhere, but if you see the SDS, that's gang, that's love. And yes, we're basically a cult. That's hilarious. Niners trade Kittle and a third and a future pick for Burns. Lies. Don't lie to me like that. Don't lie to me like that. Give me a heart attack. Steve says, great show, Brad. Love the BB talk. He sold me hard on BB. Let's go. Went out and bought some of his auto rookies. Let's go. Salivating at the thought of him on the Niners. Oh, man, I'm telling you. Hey, I need to get me some rookie card or some autograph cards too. I like this. Forever Faithful says SDS doesn't accept bandwagons though. It's for life. Sacrifices on Victory Mondays. Yes, we're a nice cult. We're a very nice cult. But yes, lightweight a cult. Drink the red Kool-Aid. I love it. SDS is an absolute movement. It's a way of life. I love you guys. You guys are the best, man. Sacrifice the first round pick for Brian Burns. We are a cult. It's confirmed. It confirms we are the cult of the SDS. We drank the Brian Burns Kool-Aid, and here we are at the altar of Brian Burns. What a great way to end a phenomenal episode. That was fun. We literally didn't talk about anything serious. We had a good time. I appreciate it. Appreciate all you guys. You guys are the best, man. Smash that like button. Shout out to SDS. We are a vibe. We are a cult damn near at this point. Love you guys. You guys made my day today. We got to get to 150 though. As a Colt, we have to get to 150. So we're close. We are close. So once we hit that 150 button, we're out of here. Sleep, eat, breathe, SDS. Facts only, one way in, one way out. Oh, you guys are the best, man. You guys are the best. Appreciate you. Oh, wow. I'm not going to pull up some of those comments that are in the chat. But it doesn't change the fact you guys are the best. All right, we're 4 away. Come on. Where are my lurkers at? We're not getting out of here until we get 150. You know the vibes. Turn up. Turn it up. We're so close. We're so close. Hold on, let me see. I got to check. Oh, we just hit it. There we go. Love to see it. Appreciate you guys. And like that, we are out of here on 150. Great day today, Sourdough Squad. You guys are the best. I've said it a million times. I'm going to say it again. You're the best. Appreciate you guys. I'm out. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to